That is no, they don't, because they're paying what you say is the rate. And the more listeners you have, the more they're going to pay you for that advertising. And the better music that you play that people actually want to hear, then the more you're going to be able to charge them. If we shut down all the music, you wouldn't have anything but a talk station. So I think we need to realize that. Also, you talked about being on the air for emergencies. The FCC requires you. They have that override when there is an emergency. You did not do that out of the goodness of your heart. You do that because you are mandated to do that, and thereby you provide that public service, and we appreciate that our radio stations do that. I would also remind you that when you talk about being a partnership between the artist and the radio stations, there is a new form of payola that is out there, and it's called having these artists do private shows for your advertisers, again, so that your worth is more to your advertisers. So indeed, it's kind of lopsided, because they're making nothing, and you're making millions of dollars. You and your son started this business not to be charity, but to make a profit and to serve your communities and to allow local radio. And for football games, you have advertisers. Again, you're providing a service, but you're being paid. The people that do not get paid are the performers. Mr. Simmons, let me come to you. You laid it.
Can I respond to any of that?
No, sir. It's my time.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. If we do a second round, I'll give you the opportunity to respond. Mr. Simmons, it's well past time to pass the American Music Fairness Act. I want you to very succinctly say, this is why we need to do it today.
We have to do it today because AI is right around the corner. This is an archaic injustice that's been around for a long time, and there's no reason why we should get in the middle of it. It's un-American. The basic premise of America is, pardon me for simplifying it, I was a sixth grade teacher, if you work hard, you should get paid.
Okay, let me ask you about something else. I go to church, and I live in a neighborhood in Nashville where we have a lot of session singers and musicians, background vocalists that are there. Talk about the significance to those artists of getting those pennies on the spin.
It's often, see, when you mentioned Elvis and Frank Sinatra and everything, we're talking big ideas because they've scratched and worked their way to the top. The new artists really need these pennies when they get heard as their career starts on radio, but there's no income. How do they get there? How do they claw their way up to the top with the help of radio? And again, I'm not here to demonize Mr. Hinton or the radio stations. We need each other. Performers need radio, radio needs performers, but for God's sakes, equitable doesn't mean you get zero and radio makes $14 billion just this last year. That's not equitable. I know it's a big word like gymnasium, but come on, Hinton. Let's get with it. Let's become American.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Senator Schiff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to my colleague Alex Padilla for this legislation. Appreciate all of you testifying today. Mr. Simmons, I want to ask you about the song Beth, but you're not here for that, so I'm not going to. And I love that song. I love all your songs. And thank you for bringing my Cusimano constituents with you. What I'd like to ask you, you've been obviously performing for quite a while. When you began your career, there was a kind of understanding that I think was the rationale for this injustice that, well, if radio stations are playing your music, you're getting advertising, more people are buying your albums. Obviously, the industry has completely changed. and the way people access music has completely changed. But if you could talk a little bit about how the industry has evolved and what it means today not to be compensated. That is, I would imagine whatever promotional value you get of your songs played on the radio doesn't somehow create enough recompense to make up for the lack of being paid for those songs being played on the radio.
Well, first and foremost, what you say is so. But I want to cut to the chase, which is when we first began, we were four knuckleheads off the streets of New York who could barely spell, read, or write. We just happened by ourselves. We never knew. No one. Artists are not qualified to understand the business model. We didn't have a business manager. I didn't know that once you get a song that goes on radio, radio is not going to pay you to play the song. But they will have the right, I will say this again, they have the right to use our name and likeness. And you're talking about trademarks. You use my trademark without my permission. Otherwise, I'm going to take your house and your firstborn. Are you kidding me? So radio uses billboards across the country's highways of America to promote the radio stations so that people will tune into their station because they are hearing our voice on their station so they can sell advertising. And more power to you. You should be making more money, become more successful, but the new artists are not going to get their fair shake. There are barely record companies left. The entire music industry is in disarray, and all these pennies are so important, especially for tomorrow's stars who are being born today. This is for our children and for our children's children. We can't just let them out in the cold and not have a way to get paid for their hard work.
Thank you. And Mr. Huppy, I know when your son was very young, he ran for school office with the theme song, Don't Worry, Be Huppy, which was brilliant, by the way.
That is correct.
When that song is played on a streaming service, you're able to identify where the royalties should go, and as the chair was saying, do so very rapidly, very quick order. Let's say that song is played on terrestrial radio. Are there any challenges to being able to determine when that's being played, providing the same kind of mechanism for compensation that you do with the streaming services?
The mechanics behind doing that, Senator, would not be that difficult at all. As you well know, we already receive much of the data about plays and artists and songs.
Guys, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We'll see you on the other side. Thanks for coming back with us, guys. We're going to go back to the Senate Judiciary Committee about royalties for musicians right now.
5% this year, 3.5% next year. So small market radio stations can't take any more fees. It's not 500, it's another 500 on top of everything else that we're paying. And I'll tell you, anybody that thinks $500 is a small chunk of change has never had to run a small market radio station.
Thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hinton, you'd ask if you want to make a brief comment in response to Senator Blackbird's questions, you can. Then I've got questions for you.
Yes. You know, I'm a little bit surprised that radio is being demonized the way it is. I want to remind people that this ecosystem that we operate in has been working for both the radio industry and the music industry for 100 years.
As you're answering the question, can you give me a sense of what's different about Europe and the stressors that they have economically, and they're still achieving the reimbursement? What's different about the American terrestrial radio option and the European option where they seem to have resolved this issue?
Well, the first thing I would say to you is that radio stations in America are free, and we're part of a free market system. If you go to European countries and some of the countries that have been mentioned, radio stations are owned by the government. The relationship between the music industry and the radio industry has been fantastic, and it's worked beautifully for the years. You know, it's been said that the promotional angle that radio station provides to the recording industry is not there anymore. It's not important. If you allow me, I just want to read something that I received from a good friend of mine, Mike Biddle, who is the program director. He used to be my program director. He's now program director at WQDR in Raleigh, which is one of the legendary country music stations. I asked Mike last week, Mike, tell me what kind of contact you get on a week-to-week basis with the recording industry and music labels. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read a couple of lines from that email. 16, exclamation point. That's the number of record label representatives I've communicated with over the past 5 days. 4 of them are at the vice president level or higher. The reason? They want airplay from our radio stations. Based on the ratings research provided by Nielsen and Eastland, and I've done the math, our radio station alone can match the exposure of an artist a song gets with 30,000 streams in 1 week with just a handful of spins in primetime listening. And one other thing I'd like to respond to is the issue that Senator Blackburn brought up regarding her letter to the chairman of the FCC for payola. First and foremost, I would say, in my experience, and I've been in this business a long time, Senator, I have never, my experience has been exactly the opposite of what you are describing. It's normally artists coming to radio stations wanting us to provide promotion for something that they're promoting with a relief concert or something. Just like happened with us after Hurricane Matthew, the Avett brothers came to us and said, will you help us promote a hurricane relief concert, which we did and raised $365,000. I can tell you this, that we take the issue of payola very seriously. NAB has a policy. We all follow it. We are very serious about following payola and not breaking any federal laws, especially that one.
Last question for you, or from me. Have you modeled what the economic impact would be on your stations, or has NAB done any modeling on what the economic impact would be on various stations if this bill is ratified?
Well, let me start with this, Senator. The radio industry is free over the air. When we hear about these other streaming services that are paying performers' rights, remember this, they can pass their fees on to
I get that. But I'm trying to get at is the economic impact. And what stimulated, this is from my staff notes.
Well,
what
again, you and I have had this conversation before. What I think we should be advocating for is for Congress to take a look at the entire ecosystem.
Well, I got you.
All PROs.
But I'm just trying to get back to the NAB in particular. I wouldn't expect you and your radio station to have done some modeling about what the impact would be.
You're asking me for a percentage of how it would impact us?
I'm trying to get, we've already, there's a stipulation that some of the smaller market or college radio stations be either $100 or $500 impact. So I'm trying to get that's not a lot. It would have a de minimis impact in terms of performers' compensation. I'm just trying to get a sense of what this would represent to a radio station like yours that would not necessarily enjoy the carve-out or the exemption roughly what it's going to cost? And I would assume you can
I
just do a look
I
back and
honestly don't know
determine.
the answer to that question. It's going to be on a per-station basis.
I think it'd be helpful, as we move forward to get, it would seem to me it'd be deterministic. You look back 12 months, look at what you played, and then determine if the law would pass, what it would be. But I think that'd be helpful for the record.
Well,
Mr. Huppy, do you have any insight on, well, here's the other thing when I'm talking with the NAB. They talk about bad actors. I'm not going to name three-letter players in this industry, but they talk about some other folks who are constantly breathing down the broadcasters' back. Are you sympathetic to any of that with some of the music distributors and the way that they're treated? Yours is a very different model, but I'm just kind of curious.
Yeah, we're not in the radio promotion business, so I'm not as familiar with that, Mr. Chairman. I will say, in terms to answer to your last question, you asked about sort of modeling out. I will say, again, I share the respect for Mr. Hinton and the amazing network that he's built out, but 4 of his 5 stations would be eligible for the $500 a year carve-out. And the other comment, if I could, Mr. Chairman, there's a lot of talk about promotion here. The bill takes into account any promotion effect. If there truly is promotion, then I would suggest the broadcasters can put their money where their mouth is and recognize it will be a factor expressly considered by the people that set the rates for this. We could debate whether there's promotion or not. I mean, as you heard earlier, 85% of all revenue comes from streaming. I think you've heard Mr. Hinton say twice that they compete with those streaming platforms now. It's no longer about promotion, it's about competing. And one last point, Mr. Chairman, let's say there is promotion, hypothetically. I don't know why that should be a free ticket to take people's property with neither permission nor payment. Radio broadcasts Major League Baseball games. It is undoubtable that that increases the promotion for baseball. It raises the value of the franchise. And no one for a minute would suspect or suggest that they don't get licensed by Major League Baseball. I don't know why music should be any different.
Thank you. My time is over. Before I recognize Senator Padilla, I think Beth was a good song. It was Peter Criss who sang leads, the drummer. Senator Padilla.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to all the witnesses for your participation today. I do want to begin with questions for Mr. Simmons, and I especially appreciate you because you're not just here advocating for your own self-interest, you're advocating for all artists.
No, I think that's not the headline. The headline is, I've done well thanks to the American dream, and I often say, God bless America, and people think I say it for a soundbite. I'm the proud son of a concentration camp survivor, and for me, those words mean something, and we should all get over the cornball, eye-raising things and realize where we're living. This ain't about me, my friend.
That's what.
Because I've done very well because America gave a first-generation legal immigrant the chance to do well, and it was not easy. I had to learn the language. I had to stop talking like this, dress British, think Yiddish. You know what I mean. You had to learn the culture, claw my way up to the top with 3 other guys that understood it, with no managers, no nothing. Do it the old-fashioned way. Roll up your sleeves. America's giving you the chance. The rest is up to you. It's not about me. I'm on top of Mount Olympus. As I said before, I was thinking of buying the building. This is about the future of our children.
I'm trying to make, because you've been blessed and you've done well. And I think there's a misperception in the general public that most.
All right, everyone, that's our hour here on WCNC Plus. We have more for you, though, on our linear show at 4 o'clock with Nick and Jane, and then we'll see you for Weather Impact at 6:30, and then more news from 7 to 9 tonight. Thanks for joining us.